Welcome back to Learn with Chris. I'm Chris. Today I'm going to continue talking about Norse mythology, but I'm going to have a specific focus. This time I'm going to talk about fate and the Norns. So fate, F-A-T-E, is basically the same as the word destiny. And your destiny or your fate has already been determined. So a definition of fate or destiny is a predetermined course of events. So if you believe in fate or destiny, that means that the events of your life have already been determined or chosen. What you will do, where you will go, who you will marry, how you will die, all of this is already known and already determined. Determined by who? You would probably want to ask. Well, that depends on your culture and your religion. So obviously, a Christian would say that their fate is determined by God. Maybe it's determined by the universe or whatever God you may or may not believe in. For the Norse, they believe that their fate was determined by the Norns. The Norns were three maiden women. There's often parallels between the Norns and actually the Fates from Greek mythology, but with Greek mythology, there's significant differences. So with the Fates from the Greek mythology, there was like a maiden, a mother, and a crone. So basically a girl, a woman, and an old woman. Those were the three fates. But for the Norns in Norse mythology, it's just three maidens. They're not, one is older and one is an old woman. That's not mentioned. Another difference is that with the fates from Greek mythology, they're said to weave the destinies of people. But the Norns didn't weave, they actually carved onto wood. So I'll read something to demonstrate that. So, and the names of them as well. So I'm going to read from the Poetic Edda, Jackson Crawford translation. And this is going to be from Völuspá, the first poem, and stanza 20. So let me find it here. Okay. So it says, 3 wise women lived there, by that well, under that tree. The tree being Yggdrasil. Uthur is named one, another is Frithandi, the third is named Skuld. They carve men's fates. They determine destiny's laws. They choose the lifespan of every human child and how each life will end. So the 3 Norns were named Uthur, which means it's the past of happening, so it has happened. So that means basically the past. So she's the Norn of the past. Frithandi means happening, as in happening right now. So she's present. And Skuld is similar to the English word should, like should be, therefore the future. So the 3 Norns are effectively past, present, and future. And it says here that they carve men's fate. They carve runes onto wood. The actual Norse is Skalaroskipi, which is, no, is that right? Something like that. But it's carved onto wood. Again, different from the Greek fates. So, this is rather important for understanding the Norse as a people and as a culture. So let me talk a little bit about fate and what that means for people who, or a culture that believed in it. Gotta come back. So imagine that you're from a culture that believes that your life, your future, has already been determined by these creatures called Norns. Now, the Norns were not gods, they weren't giants, they weren't monsters. We don't really know what they were, but they were something other than. I mean, they also carved the fates of the gods and the giants, everything. So they were beyond the gods. Even if the Norns said that a god would die at a particular time, then even the god would also die at that particular time, and there's nothing they could do about it. So that's kind of the idea of, if you're from a culture who believes that your future has been determined already and it doesn't matter what you do, you're going to, let's say, die at that particular day, whatever that particular day may be. So if you really, really believe this, then it doesn't matter if the day has come, it is your death day, and it is the day you are going to die because the Norns have determined that you will die on that day, then you can face that day bravely, or you can try to run from it. You could be a coward, and you would not do the things you would normally do because you're scared that you were going to die that day. But because it's your fate to die at that day, doesn't matter what doesn't matter what you do, you will die on that day. So you might as well face it with honor and strength and courage, because it's going to happen whether you want it or not. It doesn't matter, right? So I think this translates into the Norse being fierce warriors, very dangerous, and they were feared through the Viking Age. Because they didn't have any fear. They didn't have any fear of dying, because when they go into a battle and they fight, if now's their time to die, then okay, they accept it and they put 100% into that. And of course, as I mentioned when I talked about Odin, Odin's Valkyries would be watching the battlefield, and if you were a great warrior and you died gloriously with honor, you would be chosen to go to Valhalla and to become a part of Odin's army that will fight in Ragnarok. But if you tried to run from the battle and you were a coward because you were scared to die, then you go to hell. You do not become one of the glorious slain in Valhalla. So since you're going to die anyway, you might as well face it with strength and honor. So I think this means kind of something for how the Vikings, how the Norse behaved in a fatalistic way. It's like, it's going to happen. We might as well. We can't fight against it. So give it 100%, basically. There's a couple of other things I would like to read from this, just to kind of mention the fact that they really believed that the Norns had determined their fates and there was nothing they could do about it, so they might as well go all in. So here I'm going to read from the poem Forskrines, and stanza 13. Let me find it. Aha. Okay. It's 72. Stanza 13. There's always a better choice than cowardice if you have business to take care of. One day long ago, my life was already shaped. My fate was fixed. So this person, screener, is saying that he knows that his life has already been determined by the Norns, and he knows that his fate has already been determined. So why be a coward about things? You might as well just be brave and do what you need to do. Right? Okay, I'll have one more quotation to read. And this is from Hamfismal, which is the very last poem in the Poetic Edda, stanza 30. So let me find that. But we fought well. We stand over sword-thorn Gothic corpses and set a table for the eagles. We earned honor here. Though we are fated to die today, a man will not live one day longer than the Norns have decided. So, the Norse believe that if the Norns said, okay, you're going to die on this particular day, that's it. There's no way around that. You will die on that day regardless of what you do. So you might as well, again, go into your life 100%. No reason to be a coward because you're going to die anyway. You might as well face it. Face it with honor and face it with strength. Now, interestingly, Odin knew also his fate, because again, from the Voldespad, the Volva told him that he would die at Ragnarok. Fenrir, the great wolf, would eat him and swallow him and kill Odin. Odin knew that, but Odin didn't really accept it. He fought against it in his constant learning, seeking for knowledge. Taking out his eye at the well of Mimir, hanging on the tree of Yggdrasil for 9 days to learn the magic of the runes. Sending his eagles out every day, Hugin and Munin, to learn what's going on in the world, to gain knowledge. And of course, collecting the souls of the slain on the battlefield to prepare his army for Ragnarok. So even though the Norns said that he's going to die at Ragnarok, Odin did everything he could to fight against it and to not accept it. Although he still dies at Ragnarok. So if Odin himself cannot escape his fate, none of us can. So we accept it, or we should. So that's a little bit about the fate and the Norns, or the Norns and Fate. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and have a good day. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you in a future video. Bye-bye.